want to take these areas and only download my emissions data for this. What I can do is I can go to reset my filters here. And this live updates your full list of results that you can choose from as you change the filter. So I want to look at image collections, but I don't have to look at it this way. If I completely refresh all of this, I can actually search by tag. And so the tag filter, or these tags are embedded in the data sets. So if I don't even know what tags to look for, the autocompleter will actually give you those tags, whatever tags are currently in these lists. I want to look at NO2. So there are two data sets that have NO2 data. That is the Copernicus S5P near real time and offline. I know this one because I've looked at it quite a bit, but the near real time actually does include most of the Earth in its data collection, so you're safe there. But something like the SO2, I know this from experience, you just want to pick the offline because the near real time will be limited to wherever that satellite is currently. And if you notice here, I actually have and or logic. So if you want to extend, if I want to look at atmosphere data for NO2 and SO2, these are both of those sets. If I had a and rule here, you would see both, then I get nothing. So if I deselect SO2, I should get both of those back. If I hit the or and then apply both of these, I should get all four of those. Now let's say I also want to build in maybe some analysis based off of wind speed or weather data, cloud coverage, all this type of stuff. So I can go here and say wind. And now I have a few of the other data sets where I might get that information to build into my analysis. But another key thing to note here is some of this data is automatically filtered based off of cloud coverage. So beyond a certain amount of cloud coverage, I think it's 80% cloud coverage, the measurement is basically rendered invalid, so that it will return a null value. And you'll notice this on some of the pixelation when the results come up. But if you get the original data set, there's multiple bands, and it will include the original data as well as the calculated data based off of this filtering. And this all happens on Google's side that is separate from what this tool can cover. So with that in mind, let's clear this list. It is very important to only query one data set at a time based off of these data limits of extraction. So I enforce these rules within some of the same pop-up warnings that you'll see. So let's see, if I pick 2 and hit select, it will say, please limit selection to 1. That's basically all I mean. If I hit a get info, it will take just the top of the list. That's just one thing to remember about this, just on a different screen for some reason. But this is what comes up for the Sentinel-5 precursor, all the information. The cloud coverage filtering occurs at a different level for each of the data sets. So 80% for aerosols, 75% for the NO2, 50% for ozone and sulfur dioxide. If I deselect these, let me only download the offline data just to make sure I have everything. And let me select a window of time about, let's go with a month. So it's kind of audacious to get that much data, but we'll see if this works because it is a smaller area. If I set my resolution right. So if I select this, you need to hit the select button for the image collection so that you can get the preview and select an individual band. So an individual band is like one of the columns of the full data set, and that will severely reduce the amount of data you're getting back. Because in here you have sort of cloud fraction, the sensor angle, altitude, the azimuth angle, zenith. So a lot of these are just what direction was the what was sort of the configuration of the sensor at the time of capture, which is important if you're trying to really dig down into the data. But if you want to get sort of the executive summary view of what this is even, what you're even looking at in your area, these are not so important. So let me go with the tropospheric NO2 column number density. This is the default layer. And that is known because when you extract that preview, you can see the default palette that is associated with this data set is actually just applied to this tropospheric NO2 column number density. So if I go ahead and here and set my resolution, I'm going to go with something like let's go with a 5 kilometer resolution. So go ahead and hit extract. Okay, now this data set at the 5,000 meter resolution, this does return, if you were thinking in Excel terms, this would be in a 100,000 plus lines of Excel table. And I think it's about 5 columns. So this will save the data where you have indicated where you would like it to go, and then it will automatically post the layer. And now this is taking some time because each layer is associated with a date time from the image capture. So those will all be collapsed onto this layer. You'll see here, NYC NO 5 kilometer. Now, if I want to use that default palette, all I have to do is go over here and hit apply. Let's give it some time here to sort of render this, but you'll see these 5 kilometer rectangles. And what it does is it goes through, and when you request this data from Google and tell it the resolution, it will reduce that to sort of an average value within that region. And then I take that center point that it returns and I build this artificial area with that same sort of radius, if you will, where that point is the center point and each line length is the 5 kilometers. So it's not 5 kilometers away. It's whatever, √2 or something like that because of Pythagoras. But that then tiles the plane of your full bounded box of what your filter was. And then you can take that and apply different visualizations.